67,000 with Essel at 33 to 1 this morning. 6 is Charles Stewart, Anthony Webber. 7, Charming Charles, Chris Grant. 9, Critical Path, Ron Barry. 10, Cutter Dash, Richard Lindley. 11, Derra Lead, Paul Barton. 13, Evergreat, Paul Nichols. 15, Gainsay, Niall Madden. 16, Grant Lee, who's blinkered, written by Tommy Carmody. 17, Hal's Joy, Kevin Mooney. 19, George Miguel, Steve Smith-Eccles. 20, KOMATCH, Colin Brown. 21, Manta, John Joe O'Neill. 22, Me Bonnie Lass, Harry Rogers. 23, Mollington, Graham McCourt. 25, Old Faithful, Craig Smith. 26, Phileas, backed to win 25,000 this morning at 66 to 1 with Corals, written by Mr. Tommy McCourt. 27 is PRIMROLLA, Peter Scudamore. 28, Return to Power, Steve Joe Barth. 29, Ross Fandango, Jerry Newman. 30, Run for Gold, Frank Berry. 31, SANDWALKER S Morshead. 34, Saxon Farm, Mark Perrott. 37, Swinging Moon, Alan Webb. 38, 10th of October, written by Bill Smith. 39, The Owls, Seamus O'Neill. 40, Vintage Year, Anthony Powell. 42, Whole Shebang, Steve Knight. 43, Wallow Will, John Frankham. And the latest news that Run for Gold has been back to win 60,000 this morning with a tote at 20 to 1, and he's now 16 to 1 with them. Those are the 30 max.
And the favourite, believe it or not, is 8 to 1. Wallow Will, 8 to 1. Alastor of Mavros, Cutter Dash, Saxon Farm and Ross Fandango are on 10 to 1. Run for Gold, 12 to 1. Manta, 14 to 1. Jorge Miguel, KOMATCH and PRIMROLLA with Whole Shebang, 16 to 1 these. Ambiance, 20 to 1. Hal's Joy and Gainsay are 33 to 1. And on 40 to 1, Swinging Moon, Grantley, Me Bonnie Lass, Return to Power, and 10th of October. And it's 50 to 1 bar these.
And an open contest indeed, Julian. I think that's an understatement, because you could fancy 20 in this and still not get the winner. This is certainly what it's all about. And the parade on the way. Alastor of Mavros, they're leading. Fine steel grey horse this is. 3 wins in a row following that fine debut here when just behind Cutter Dash and Wallow Will. Number 3, well, this is Ambiance, a horse Peter Bailey's produced so well. He's done nicely with him. Huel Davis in the saddle, and Huel on 69 winners for the season. Number 6 is Charles Stewart, ridden by Anthony Webber. Consistent sort and a nice little animal this, looking in the paddock, trained by Robert Baker rather. Charming Charles, Chris Grant, and you can see there the colours on the lad the same as the owners, the Steve Davis Promotions there. Number 9 is Critical Path. Looked well in the paddock again, but this remark applies to so many. Big Ron Barry in the saddle. Ron, who's been favourite of the Cheltenham crowd for many, many years. Number 10, Cutter Dash. Lovely little horse trained by Dean Smith, who won this race last year. Wonder can she do it again today. Number 11 is Derra Lead, Paul Barton, and Paul certainly in form of late. 13, Evergreat. This is a nice horse. I liked him, trained by David Orton. Not over-raced, having his 4th race of the season. Number 15, Gainsay, big black horse, very consistent early on. 1 3 in a row and looks to be coming back to form now. Boots Madden in the saddle. 16 in those bright colours, Grantley, ridden by Tommy Carmody, trained by Mick O'Toole. He's been here before, needs to improve a bit on his last run. 33 to 1 from Forties, so a little bit of money there for him. 17, those distinctive colours, Hal's Joy, only won last Saturday. Kevin Mooney, successful in the saddle then, rides him again today. 19, bright colours, George Miguel. This one's been schooled over fences to sharpen his jumping up, a very unusual thing for these colts to do. In the spots, KOMATCH, one of 2 runners from West Country, Martin Pipe's stable, front runner this one. Manta, John Joe O'Neill's mount, nice big colt this. Again, hasn't been over-raced, and John Joe quietly fancies him if he can get a good run. Me Bonnie Lass, Irish trained, and this one is a filly, one of only 2 fillies in the race. Mollington, bonny little thing this, ridden by Graham McCourt. Mollington trained by John Webber. Old Faithful, very much on his toes in the paddock, and you can still see is this one, ridden by Craig Smith. 26, Phileas, Now, there's an outside whisper for this one, but then there are outside whispers for many of them. Ridden by Tom McCourt, who's the cousin of Graham, rides Mollington. PRIMROLLA, the only other filly in the race, and a very good filly indeed, running in the colours of Lord Vestey, of course, is on the board of directors here at Cheltenham. Return to Power, big strapping horse this one, took a while to come to form, but he's certainly in form now. Steve Jobar on the saddle. Return to Power, 50s from 40s. And this is Ross Fandango, another Irish horse, very distinctive colours those. Jerry Newman in the saddle, unbeaten in his 2 runs over hurdles. Nice sort. 30, Run for Gold, another Irish horse. I saw this one win on his hurdles debut at Leopardstown, very impressive, will like the ground. Sandwalker in the yellow colours there. Well, this one's still a maiden, but he's run some rather nice races, trained by Mercy Rymel, successful in the Champion Hurdle on Tuesday. Swinging Moon just going up to turn round, canter down. Swinging Moon, well, he won 4 races over Timber, and he put up a good performance here when 8 lengths behind PRIMROLLA, ridden by Alan Webb. 10th of October, one of Stan Mellor's 2 runners, and this very much fancied, as is his other one, Saxon Farm. 10th of October, ridden by Bill Smith. The Owls in the dark colours. The Owls, who's going down very nicely, sweated a bit in the paddock, ridden by Seamus O'Neill. Whole Shebang, 42. This was a very good horse on the flat in Norway, one of their top 3-year-olds last season, and isn't doing too badly over hurdles, trained by Andy Turnell. Whole Shebang, 20s from 16 to 1. They've won a few bob on this one when he's won twice. He's only run 3 times. He's done nothing wrong, and I'd love to see Andy train a winner here at the festival. Most of the runners down at the start, and just look at that for a wall of horses. We've seen, in fact, nearly all of them. It's only Wallow, Will and Saxon Farm, the horses we've yet to see. In Vintage Year, I think that was the one in the light colours just cantering down out of shot. Wallow Will is 7 to 1 favourite from 8 to 1, 10 to 1 bar. Well, doesn't that just tell you the story? 7 to 1 the favourite. It's like picking strawberries without looking at underneath the leaves first. Who can get the nicest one? Well, we shall know in 10 minutes, but there'll be a few bob lost on this race. It's one of the biggest betting races of the year, and many horses that are backed anti-post certainly never even get to line up. Alastor Mavros there, and this one coming from Josh Gibbons' stable, a lovely horse. I certainly like this. He's one for the future, if not for today. Let's see how they bet. Favourite, he likes fast ground. It may just be a bit tacky walking out there this morning. I thought that it's just sticky. Wallow Will sweating a fair bit, owned by Mrs. Juan Sabalos, and a very handsome horse this, but not only handsome, he can perform as well. John Frankham in the saddle, still looking for his first winner, and the Ritz Club Trophy wide open. Anyone can win it. There are so many jockeys on 1 winner apiece, and in fact Boots Madden is in front with a 2nd and a 4th as well. But John Frankham would dearly like to add another sweet Waterford Crystal. John Joe O'Neill facing John Frankham there, and John Frankham chasing John Joe's all-time record of 149 winners in the season. John stuck on 101 now for some time. He absolutely zipped up to 39. He won a hurdle race at Wolverhampton and sandwiched that one in between defeats before and after. But he's 11.5 lengths inferior to George Miguel at Kempton Park. That isn't a bad run, in fact, because I think that's a horse that'll go very close. The spotted colours there with his back to us. This is Mick O'Toole's Grantley, number 16. Grantley ridden by Tommy Carmody, who won the opener on the first day here. Wallow Will 6 to 1 favourite from 7 to 1. Alastor Mavros 10s, same price for Cutter Dash, and Ross Fandango 12 to 1 bar. Tommy Carmody really laughing. He's in great form. He was really pleased to come back here and win the opener because I think he feels slightly hard done by when treated by the English press. Bill Smith just going through picture. Bill, who was Wallow Will going through again. Number 6. Now that's a nice little horse. This is Charles Stewart. He scored on his 5th outing over hurdles when beating Thurston Hill by a length at Wolverhampton. He was 3rd to Butler's Pet at Newbury. Now that was a much better run. I didn't fancy him until he'd run well there, but I still think that he's got to improve a little bit before winning this. He's trained by Robert Baker at Manton, Anthony Webber in the saddle. So some very fancy colours there of 29, Ross Fandango. Won his only 2 starts at Leopardstown in December, again there in January. Acts on heavy ground. Might find this course a little bit stiff. I think he only just gets the trip. Number 10, Cutter Dash. Cutter Dash, Richard Lindley in the plate. Richard, who's already got a fair wage packet this week in the bank with the champion hurdle winner. Nice to have that behind you, but he's looking forward to this too. This is a race that everybody wants to win. It's so competitive. The cut and thrust of this race, well, you have to ride in it to believe it. Not over big, this horse, but very powerful. You can see those hindquarters, a very strong little horse, and he can produce foot up this hill, and that's a question that won't be answered for some of them until they actually meet it. In the stars coming towards us, that's George Miguel. He's taken well to hurdles. He's won 3 of his 5 starts, and I certainly like him. He's trained by Gavin Pritchard Gordon in Newmarket, and at Kempton Park he had Howell's Joy, Cutter Dash and the Owls behind him. Nice big strong horse. I think you'll be seeing a lot more of him later. Number 7 there, running in the colours of Steve Davis Promotions. This horse has run here previously. He doesn't really look good enough, I'm afraid. Only cost 2,200 guineas at Doncaster Sales. That was after winning a flat race, and he's won at Market Raisin from Amanda. Don't think quite looks big enough. The starter's assistant there, Trevor Archer, just attending to some minor alterations to the bridle. So Charming Charles there, one of the non-fancied runs, or less fancied. Gainsay 50 to 1 from 33s, David Nicholson's mount, or rather his charge. Long time since David has been riding around here. In the quarter colours there, that's 23 Mollington. We see Grantley 50s from 33s. That's Mick O'Toole's runner, but very much on his toes, Mollington. Likes heavy ground, this one. As you can see, doing best of his job to get rid of his jockey. But they're coming under. Peter's got a big task on his hands here. Sure he's up to it. Over to you.
Thank you, Richard. And the 30 runners just about to be called in. The maximum field, 10 balloted out, the white flag up, they're under starters' orders. Mollington's facing the wrong way at the moment, so is Wallow Will, in the very centre of the picture. Several appeals to the starter, Captain Dick Smalley, but this looks like it. A pretty good line. Still appealing though. And they're away. And coming to the first of the 8 flights. And Run for Gold is the first to show in the centre of the picture. Run for Gold from Sandwalker, Ever Great right up with them, and then Mollington, and then Howell's Joy. And George Miguel. Howell's Joy, in fact, pecked a little on landing, but didn't lose any impetus, and Run for Gold is in the lead. Run for Gold from Mollington and Sandwalker, and Alastor Mavros over on the far side, on the right of the picture. He's a grey spot here, Alastor Mavros, very prominent, with Run for Gold. Between horses is Sandwalker. Whole Shebang is just in behind them. Then come Mollington and Howell's Joy. Behind Howell's Joy is Cutter Dash with George Miguel and KOMATCH, and the back marker at the moment is Grant Lee, the back marker of the 30 as they come down to the next flight. Over the second, Run for Gold from Sandwalker and Alastor Mavros. Then comes Mollington. Then on the outside, KOMATCH with Howell's Joy. Whole Shebang on the inner. Then Old Faithful and the Owls. And behind them comes Saxon Farm and Ambiance on the inside. Behind Ambiance is PRIMROLLA. Behind PRIMROLLA is Swinging Moon, and then Phileas. And the back markers are Grant Lee, Ross Fandango, and Me Bonnie Lass has pulled up. So 29 as they run down the far side, with Alastor Mavros on the inside of Run for Gold. Then comes Whole Shebang. Behind them come Cloudwalker and Ambience pulling quite hard on the inside. Towards the outer is Howell's Joy with KOMATCH, and just in behind them Old Faithful. Then comes 10th of October and Manta, and behind Manta is Swinging Moon, and then Charles Stewart. And the back markers now a Critical Path, Grant Lee and Ever Great as they come down to the next flight, to the 4th. Alastor Mavros and Run for Gold and Sandwalker just ahead of Whole Shebang. Then comes Old Faithful. Ambience on the inside. Return to Power has made progress. Swinging Moon is also well there. And so is Mollington. And then comes Manta. Right over on the far side now, Alastor Mavros with 3 left to jump from Run for Gold, SANDWALKER, just in behind them come Whole Shebang, then the Owls and Saxon Farm and Return to Par. And over that one, Run for Gold lands in the lead as they race to the top of the hill. It's Run for Gold from Alastor, Mavros, Return to Par, Saxon Farm on the inside. Running downhill now, SANDWALKER still holding his position, and Wallow Will is making very good progress too towards the leaders. It's Run for Gold though as they run downhill from Return to Par, SANDWALKER, Wallow Will. Then comes Saxon Farm, Alastor and Mavros, then Mollington. Behind Mollington is the Whole Shebang. And then comes Vintage Year, and then PRIMROLLA making good ground towards the outside. But it's still Run for Gold, the leader. From Return to Par, Saxon Farm. Alastor and Mavros on the inside. Wallow Will coming there strongly on the far side. This is the second last flight. Run for Gold lands in the lead from Return to Par. Just in behind them, Saxon Farm, Mollington, then Wallow Will, then PRIMROLLA. Racing round the home turn now with one flight left to jump in the 1983 Daily Express Triumph Hurdle, and it's Run for Gold, being pressed by Saxon Farm, Alastor and Mavros. 10th of October coming there strongly too. Just in behind them, FANDANGO. It's Run for Gold, being pressed by Saxon Farm on the near side, Alastor and Mavros on the far side. Very little between these three. 10th of October's next, and then GAINSAY, and then FANDANGO. The final flight, Alastor and Mavros in the lead from Saxon Farm. Alastor and Mavros touches down from Saxon Farm on the near side, and it's Saxon Farm on the near side who takes it up now from Alastor and Mavros, and then 10th of October and FANDANGO, and Saxon Farm is striding away. Saxon Farm and Mark. 10th of October is second, and in third place Alastor and Mavros, and then GAINSAY and